Hi, this is Joel Persinger, the Gun Guy. Thank you very much for watching my videos. I deeply appreciate it. Listen, I've got a really interesting gun for you today, and this one is, it looks like the gun you've probably seen 1,000 times, particularly if you're a veteran. It looks a lot like a Beretta 92 FS, but it's not. This is the Taurus version, which they call a Pt-92. Now, they've done a bazillion versions of these over the years, over the decades, I should say. And this is one of the earliest ones. In fact, I could not find out and have not been able to find out when it was made. I actually got on the Taurus USA website, put in the serial number and came back with nothing. So I called them and spent an hour or two on the phone. And bottom line, they couldn't tell me. They have no idea when this gun was made. And they just said somewhere long before, quote unquote, long before. No, pardon me, he said way before 1985. But one way or the other, it was a long time ago. Here's some interesting aspects about this gun. Now, a Beretta 92 FS, if you're not familiar with the Beretta design, has a decocker. It's a double action pistol. So if you press the trigger all the way through, it'll cock the hammer and then let the hammer fall. And that's how it works. But there's something called a decocker. So when you rack the slide and there's a round, you've got a round in the chamber now. You've racked the slide and you want to let the hammer down carefully, you can do that with the decocker. And it's on this side of the pistol and you sweep it down and the hammer falls nice and safe so that the gun can be carried with a round in the chamber, a fully loaded magazine, and the hammer resting decocked so that when you press the trigger the first time, it's double action. And then every time you press the trigger after that, the slide cocks the hammer and the gun shoots single action after that. And that's one of the reasons, just as a personal preference, I've never liked these types of guns because I've never been able to master two different trigger presses, one right after another, when I'm trying to fight for my life. But there are a lot of people that can do it, and I'm sure there are an awful lot of U.S. military veterans who can do it admirably. I just don't happen to be one of those guys. Now this pistol, while it has a safety, as you can see in that position, it doesn't have a decocker. So there's no way to decock the pistol safely. You've simply got to press the trigger and let the hammer down as safely as you can. Well, the problem with that is that you're in the process of doing that so you can carry the gun decocked and on safe. And when you're letting the hammer down, you press the trigger, you let your finger off, your finger slips, your thumb slips, something, the hammer hits the firing pin and you've launched a round. So this was not the safest design, and the newer versions of this pistol have a decocker, but this old one does not. Now here's some other interesting things about this gun. Notice that the magazine release is not here. It's in the European position down on the base of the grip, and a lot of European pistols have it on the front of the grip. This one doesn't. It has a big button right here. You push the button and that's how you get the mag out. So you got to push the button really hard, pull out the mag. There it is. Now Beretta made a pistol like this. They called it a Beretta 92S, and it had the magazine release down here. So that's probably why Taurus made it that way originally. Now the Taurus magazines and the Beretta magazines are not interchangeable, so you got to have the correct magazine for each gun. Now I went out and shot this gun, and I shot it a lot, and it is a joy to shoot. It shoots very well. It's extremely accurate. It did have a jam issue. I borrowed it from a buddy who collected it, and it's got two mags. One of the magazines is not a great mag, and it tends to jam with that magazine. But it was the magazine. It was not the gun itself. When I was shooting it with the other magazine, it ran really well. Didn't seem to have any problems. It seemed to be a really well-run pistol. Now, my issue with them is just personal. I don't particularly like the double single action type designs. But other than that, it's very accurate. It shoots extremely well, and I had a great time shooting it. And I found that it was a very interesting gun to shoot. Now, here's my question to you, because in many, many cases, you know more about these things than I do. I just happen to be the joker that has the YouTube channel. And so I'm going to say to you, if you know when this gun was built or about when this gun was built, or you have any knowledge of this particular design of the Taurus Pt-92, please share it in the comments, because as I've said many times, I'm a firearms instructor, but I'm not a firearms historian. So when I get these, it's always a lesson and kind of a learning experience for me. So if you know a lot about them, or you know something that I don't, which is highly likely, please share it in the description. I can tell you it's a really solid gun. The fit and finish is not quite as good as a Beretta would be, but I have a feeling that at the time this was sold, you weren't paying anywhere near as much as you'd be paying for a Beretta either. But at the same time, the gun runs extremely well. So I was very happy shooting it and very interested to take it out on the range and mess around with it because, golly, it's different. So anyway, that's it. That's the Taurus Pt-92, the original one. I don't know when it was made, but if you do, please let me know. Thank you very much for watching my channel. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a terrific week. Please like, subscribe. There's a button right up here for you to do that, and we'll let you know when new videos come out. And if you happen to be a lover of guns as I am, and you like gun videos and you like to shoot, and you're not a member of the National Rifle Association, I want to urge you to join. And I'm going to put a link right here so you can do that. Our firearms rights are under attack constantly, and the minimum we should all be doing is joining a gun rights organization. I recommend the NRA because they're enormous, they're powerful, and they do the most work in the most places. That doesn't mean there aren't other great ones, there are, but at least, at minimum, join the National Rifle Association. This link will take you to a spot on our website where you can do that, save a little money, and you can join the NRA for a year for less than the cost of a box of ammo. Likewise, if you have a self-defense handgun at home, or you have a self-defense gun at all, or you carry a gun because you have the ability to do that in the state and place where you live, God bless you. I hope and pray that more of us will be able to do that everywhere. If that's the case, and you ever have to use that gun for self-defense, the chances are you're going to get arrested and you're going to get sued. This is a crazy country, this country sometimes, and the laws are a little odd. You need some backup. So I want to recommend to you the service I use called Second Call Defense. And I've got a link right here so that you can check it out. Second Call Defense is a company that is a foundation. They front money for you for defense in court. They front money to bail you out of jail. They'll get you an attorney on the phone immediately when you have a self-defense incident. So anytime you have to use a firearm in self-defense, they'll back you up. I find that very comforting and very positive, particularly for their very low fee. So here's a link. You can check out Second Call Defense at your leisure. It'll take you to our website where you can look at it, and then you can go to theirs if you want, whatever, but check it out. It's worthwhile. That's why I recommend it, I use it. Thank you again. Have a wonderful week. I appreciate so much the fact that you're watching. Be safe.